Hi, I'm Marlene Smith, President of Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay, and I'd like to welcome you to our September Garden Chat. We'll begin tonight's meeting with a presentation on berries for birds with Lisa Garrett of the North Beach Nature Center. Then we'll have Q&A with Lisa, followed by our chapter updates. Robin, would you like to introduce Lisa?
Hi, I'm Robin Maydell. I'm a member of the Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay chapter, and I live in North Beach, Maryland, a few blocks from the Chesapeake Bay. So Lisa Bierer-Garrett is the Director of Ecotourism with the North Beach Department of Community Conservation. Lisa is an avid birder and conservationist and has led probably more field trips than she can remember leading. And she's a very well received and well respected speaker about birds and nature, the natural world. Lisa's also president of the Prince George's Audubon Society. And in fact, Lisa teamed up with the Calvert County Tourism Board and area park staffers and other naturalists to create Calvert County birding hotspots. Originally from Pittsburgh, PA, Lisa attended Pitt and studied natural resources management. And following her dream to teach marine biology, she worked with loggerhead sea turtle conservation and rehab at William and Mary's Virginia Institute of Marine Sciences. She's worked as a marine biology instructor, a ranger, and a naturalist at many places in Maryland, such as state parks like Merkle and Patuxent River State Park, federal parks like Chincoteague Wildlife Refuge, Assateague National Seashore, and Patuxent Research Refuge, and then locally in parks like Battle Creek Cypress Swamp here in Calvert County. Just for fun, Lisa's done osprey banding with Greg Kearns. She's maintained the Suitland Bog Natural Area. She did that for 10 years. She developed an award-winning butterfly garden in PG County using all native plants. And she served for several years on the Maryland Native Plant Society board. She does a lot of talks on planting for wildlife and birdscaping. And she also does basically everything you ever wanted to know about monarch butterflies talk that's really fun. In 2023, the town of North Beach opened a newly developed North Beach Nature Center at Wetlands Overlook Park, which, if you know North Beach, is directly underneath the water tower. And the park is also on the list of Calvert County birding hotspots. Lisa's in charge of the Nature Center and does all kinds of great programming. So come check it out. So tonight, Lisa's going to tell us all about berries for birds. So Lisa, take it away.
So Lisa, you can share your screen now.
Okay.
And one thing I would like to mention, we're going to let Lisa go through her presentation and take questions at the end. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, if you could put them in the chat, and we'll be monitoring the chat, and we'll present the questions to Lisa once her presentation is done.
I just wanted to say thank you for that introduction, Robin. I've known Robin for about going on three years, and she's been quite a wonderful friend because she loves native plants, wildlife, and watersheds and wetlands. One of the things I really like to talk about, because people don't realize that a lot of birds migrate. And in fact, this weekend, over 300 million birds will be flying over Maryland at night on their migration south. And that's one of our big pushes is to Southern Maryland Audubon has a good push for this, and so does Baltimore, the lights out for birds, because we try to turn off as many lights on the outside of your house at night, especially on a rainy night like tonight. A lot of birds are flying over. So yes, a lot of birds migrate, but many, many species stay here. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How do we help the ones that stay here and overwinter with us? What are kinds of native berries and native shrubs that you could have in your yard that would be really great for them? So, and just here, I like this slide because up here you can see a woodpecker and the woodpecker is eating poison ivy berries. People don't think about that being a really good food for wildlife, but he looks like well, it's a girl. She's pigging out on the white berries of the poison ivy. Here's a chickadee, and it is eating the berries of a bayberry. Mockingbird is chowing down on these berries. Bayberry has the white berries, and some other birds, red-bellied woodpecker, tufted titmouse, black-capped chickadee, tree swallow. Some tree swallows migrate away, but before they migrate away, they'll eat a lot of berries. And one of the most beautiful birds around here, the cedar waxwings, and it's eating dogwood berries. Winter can be a hard time for wildlife. Let's make a garden plan. So the top 6 winter birds that eat berries, the top 6 berry producers for birds, some more suggestions of berries for birds. What is birdscaping? Plants to avoid, because you can't talk about planting without talking about plants to avoid, and how to certify your yard. One of the programs that Audubon has is Plants for Birds, and that is a certification program that you can do. The cedar waxwings are eating viburnum berries. So this is one of my favorite birds. They do not always stay around through the winter, but if it's kind of warm, they stay around. This is the catbird, and the catbird has that neat black cap. And believe it or not, they have a little red slice right on the very top of their head that you only see it if they show it off. But catbird makes a sound that sounds like, yeah. That's why they call it a catbird. They love to eat berries. They also like wild grapes and other kinds of berries that you'd find in the spring and the summer around here. Blueberries, wild blueberries, and raspberries. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with Doug Tallamy. He talks about bringing nature home. If you have not read this book, it is very great. It really changed my whole mindset. Doug is an entomologist and an ecology professor at University of Delaware. And his groundbreaking book, Bringing Nature Home, details the relationship between birds and native plants. That birds are typically insectivores, but the ones that stay behind, that stay over the winter, are omnivores. Chickadees and titmice eat insects, but also eat seeds. They need their protein and fat. So all plants do not support wildlife equally. That is like the #1 thing I learned from him. So that there is the top 10 trees that provide the most insects for birds for raising their babies, the top 10 trees and shrubs that provide berries for birds that are staying over the winter, the top 10 plants that help animals on their migration. So he has list and list. How does he get all the list? He has a great, giant, humongous list of college students that work from the University of Delaware that do all this research for him and compile it. And so if you go to Doug's website, you can find out a lot of really amazing information. He even helped create, you put your zip code in and it tells you about all the native plants that are best in your zip code. That was my Doug Tallamy advertisement. So if you add native species, you'll have a year-round food supply in your yard. You might want to do an inventory of your yard. You might already have a lot of these plants already growing in your yard, and you're well on your way to having a really bird-friendly, a wildlife-friendly yard. So seed plants, nectar plants, and trees provide many caterpillars for fledglings. So plants that are good, goldenrods, coneflowers, sunflowers, thoroughwort, which is blooming now and has white fuzzy flowers. It's a composite. Oaks, cherries, and service berries. All these are really good all year round food supply. I have a picture of a bluebird here, but the same thing happens for bluebirds as chickadees. One nest of chickadees or bluebirds eats 7,000 caterpillars over 6 weeks. About 250 bugs they have to catch per day for each day their little babies are in the nest. So if you protect insects and you provide plants that have insects, then you protect birds. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want a bunch of bugs on my trees. I don't want a bunch of caterpillars eating the leaves on my plants. I want to spray them. Just remind them, if you like chickadees, if you like bluebirds, if you want to have birds in your yard, then you have to protect the insects so that they can raise their babies. That is the best way that I have found to convince people not to be spraying everything that creeps or crawls. Now, I probably don't have to do this with you guys, but a lot of people still don't understand the difference between a native plant and an exotic plant. Native plants have formed symbiotic relationships with native wildlife over thousands of years and therefore offer the most sustainable habitat. A plant is considered native if it has occurred naturally in a particular region, ecosystem, or habitat without human introduction. Exotic plants have evolved in other parts of the world or were cultivated by humans into forms that don't exist in nature. They do not support wildlife as well as native plants. Occasionally, they can even escape into the wild and become invasive exotics that destroy natural habitat. So if you look here, this person has a beautiful wildlife garden, and she's got her certified wildlife habitat from National Wildlife Federation. On the other side, we have invasive plant work ahead where people are removing things like nandina and purple loosestrife. Nandina is a plant that causes a lot of problems for wildlife because the berries persist in the winter. After it gets very, very cold, the berries form a lot concentrated cyanide in the berries. So birds will eat that, bears will eat that, other wildlife will eat those and get sick. And there's been cases where some birds have died from eating them. But the berries have to be persisting on the plant through the winter, and the cold is what creates the cyanide in them. Purple loosestrife, I remember driving up to New York and New Jersey and everywhere along the 95. I said, that is beautiful, that purple plant growing in all the wetlands. Not realizing that it was not a native plant, that it was an invasive species. The problem with invasive species, they take a valuable habitat away. So here's some examples. This one over here on the left, that is actually porcelain berry and English ivy overtaking a woodland. And then in this floodplain is marsh marigold, which is a highly invasive. It's and the problem with marsh marigold, if you try to dig it up, it cuts it up into little tubers. Or if it floods or it rains, the little tubers wash into the rivers and streams and spread more. So it is not a native plant when you see a whole bunch of these little yellow flowers all over along the floodplains. Here's some other plants to avoid: nandina or heavenly bamboo, Japanese viburnum, I can't say this, Katani aster, oriental bittersweet, Japanese honeysuckle and bush honeysuckle, wineberry. People are always saying, oh, but wineberry is delicious, so why can't I just plant it and eat it? Well, if that's all that happened, that'd be great. But if you plant it and every bird eats it, then it spreads around. Barberry, we don't have to say anything about barberry. Autumn olive and privet. People don't realize privet used to be planted as hedges, and when you cut it, it grows even bigger and bigger, and then the birds eat the berries. And you're saying, why are the birds eating berries of plants that are ornamental? Or why are they eating the berries of plants that are invasive? Well, they don't know. It looks delicious. And it provides food for them. Lots of people think porcelain berry with its beautiful blue berries are beautiful. I see those blueberries and go, oh, that's going to take over pretty soon. And I know that one of my friends is dealing with sweet autumn clematis right now. That's quite an entwining vine. Still seems really beautiful, and it provides a lot of nectar for wildlife, like honeysuckle does. But you have to decide how much is enough. So let's look at things that birds like to eat. The top birds that eat native berries: bluebirds, catbirds, cedar waxwings, yellow-rumped warblers, robins, and orioles. This is a yellow-rumped warbler right here. You can't see his yellow rump. You can see his yellow on his wings. But believe me, if you saw him from behind, he has a yellow rump. And he is eating the bayberries. Another name for bayberry is myrtle, wax myrtle. And so another name for the butterbutt, or this yellow-rumped warbler, is the myrtle warbler. And then we have the cedar waxwings and the mockingbirds. Oriole, it's our state bird because the colors match the colors of our Maryland flag, which are the Calvert and Crossland colors: yellow, black, white, and reddish orange. Orioles are really interesting. They will eat lots and lots of berries. That's one of their favorite foods. They are pretty much a fruit-eating bird. They will eat insects to supplement their diet, but a lot of people have found by putting jelly out in little jelly feeders that they can really attract the orioles. I am jealous when people come and show me all the orioles that come in their yard to eat jelly, because I have yet to have an oriole come to my yard here in North Beach. I've had them when I lived up in College Park. I don't understand that, but I did. So Audubon at Patterson Park, they had this program called Bird Friendly Habitat, and they adopted the Oriole as their logo. And if you did a bird friendly yard, if you were visited by the Audubon Plants for Birds team, then you could get this sign. They've since changed it, and in Prince George's Audubon and Southern Maryland Audubon, we're doing a Plants for Birds, but we're redoing the sign. I think we're putting a bluebird on it. We actually have habitat advisors in Prince George's County that help people make bird-friendly yards. The Camden Yards put an Oriole garden in with all different berry-producing bushes specifically for the Orioles. Yay! I don't know if that Oriole in this picture ate too much. So birds need the berries to survive the winter months. So bluebirds, yellow rump warblers, robins, and catbirds, that's the birds here. In the fall, as it gets colder, they need to put on body fat. So they start gorging on berries. When they raised their young, they were eating a lot of insects. They had to switch their diet from insectivore to a fruitivore. And so they start eating lots and lots of berries. If the berries have more fat in them, it will help them survive the winter. Believe it or not, bayberries and juniper berries have the most fat in them. And so that is the berries that they go for. So lots of people say, well, I don't want to plant a bunch of plants with berries in my yard, and then the birds eat all the berries. What do I get out of it? We're not talking about berries that you're going to eat. How many of you are going to eat bayberries? Maybe you might get some to make into a candle if you wanted to, but you're not going to eat them. You're probably not going to eat viburnum berries either. So if you want to grow raspberries and grapes and blueberries, then net them properly, though. If you look at the way this is netted with the very tall pole, the net up over top of the plants, that helps birds not fly into the nets and get trapped in the nets. Even better is if you use hardware cloth, because birds cannot get stuck in that. So if you really want to net your berries to keep the birds out, don't use that clear plastic nylon netting that's just laying right over top of the plants, because you're going to trap not just birds, but other animals too, like chipmunks and snakes and other creatures will be trapped in that plastic netting. So the top 6 berry plants for birds: eastern red cedar and juniper. Now, I shouldn't say people might be gathering up the berries from the juniper to make gin, if anybody's into the mood for that. But American holly, winterberry, and inkberry holly are really nice for them. Crab apples, viburnums, and viburnums have some interesting names like the American cranberry bush and the possum haw, which means berries for possums, elderberry, and bayberry. So bayberry is a pretty fascinating plant. It's got very waxy leaves that helps it grow on the coastal plain. It's salt tolerant, so it can grow right near the shore, and it grows very well in salt and riparian habitats that are near the wetlands. Myrtles and it's called wax myrtle, that likes a little higher ground, and the bayberry can go lower ground. Both of them produce these very, very waxy berries. The interesting thing about that is not all the birds like to eat these berries because they're very waxy and they can't digest them. But these cute, there's the butterbutt. You can see his butter on his rump. They have developed a way it goes in their crop and it pulls the wax off, and then the fat part of the berry goes down into their bellies. So they can eat a whole bunch of these and survive quite well. And we also want to thank America for bayberries, because before we had the beautiful scent, they would take the berries and you boil it and all the wax floats to the top. You could scoop it out and make a candle. Before that, they burned pig fat and whale blubber for candles. I bet that smelled great. So once bayberries were discovered, Williamsburg became very well known for gathering up the bayberries and making the candles. And it was one of the first exports from the New World back to Europe were our bayberry candles. Yay. So juniper, eastern red cedar, it can be a small shrub or a larger tree as it gets older. It's very slow growing. They take 100 years to get to be a very large shrub. They get covered with berries, and this is a really good food source in the wintertime. Also, as an evergreen, it provides a lot of shelter for the birds. Some of the hollies, American holly, winterberry holly. American holly keeps its leaves, so it's year-round leaves. The winterberry is deciduous, its leaves fall off, and then the mockingbird can eat all the berries off of it. Lots of people like winterberry. It's very pretty. It's a great winter interest in your garden. And then inkberry holly, which has got the blackberries. That makes a very nice shrub. It doesn't get super tall. They're kind of slender. Sometimes they call them pencil hollies because they're skinny like a pencil. And they do have really pretty little white flowers. So depending on your location where you're planting, you might not want a holly that gets to be 60 feet tall. You might want the shorter winterberry or the small inkberries. But all of those provide good habitat and shelter for the birds. And they're pretty and they're native. Viburnums are one of my favorite plants. I don't think people realize how abundant viburnums are here in Maryland. Arrowwood is a top native species, Viburnum dentatum. It's got the little two leaves. It's an upright growing shrub with fruit in late summer. It grows along woodland borders and roadsides. The showy clusters of white flowers develop into dark blue berries that are relished by birds. I did not write that. It was in the description. Reaching heights of 8 to 10 feet, it prefers well-drained soils and it tolerates some shade. It's nice clusters of flowers. The thing you want to notice about it is you do not want to get the viburnum that has very rough-looking leaves and very fragrant-smelling flowers. That is a European viburnum. Most of our viburnums in Maryland kind of smell stinky. And why is that? Because European honeybees were introduced to us. So before that, plants had to be pollinated by flies and small solitary bees. And they were often attracted to stinkier smelling flowers. So we have lots and lots of flowers that don't have a sweet smell. So when European honeybees were introduced and they like sweet smelling flowers, then more and more people introduced sweet smelling flowers into their gardens. Yeah. There's your trivia question for the night. So here's the cranberry bush, and I can't remember which is this viburnum. Viburnum is not the dentatum. Possum, viburnum. And I like how the flowers are in the panicles. Flowering trees that are very useful for wildlife, crab apples and cherries are both really nice. They're beautiful for spring color for in your yard, and lots of fruits for wildlife. Also, people can eat the fruits. You probably can't eat the fruits of the wild cherry or the bird cherry. They call these pin cherries or bird cherries. My dad, when I was growing up, he ran a nursery and he called them choke cherries, which I turned out that is not the real choke cherries or real choke berries are aronias. But he would call these choke cherries because he said you couldn't eat them. Only birds could eat them. I like wild cherries. I think they have the beautiful shiny bark. They have these neat fireworks-like flowers that stick out from the trees, and then they provide lots of food for birds. So Prunus avium is wild cherry. Wild cherries grow about 30 meters tall and are found in beech woods and hedgerows. They do have the oval-shaped leaves and the berries. Bird cherries, fruit are blacker or on much shorter stalks than those of wild cherries. Here's robins. Interesting thing, robins and cedar waxwings will come in giant flocks. And when they find a grove of cherry trees or a grove of holly trees, you'll just hear all this chattering because all the robins come in, and within a couple of days, they strip the berries out of that area of that grove. And then they'll move on to the next grove and strip all the berries out. Next. Other yummy berries, elderberries, beautyberries, and black chokeberry. So the elderberry is sambuca, and elderberries are a spring color for the plants. And then the berries are in the summer. The beautyberries are late summer. The native beautyberry, the fruits are in clusters. Calicarpa. if you come to North Beach, the Nature Center, do not tell me 15 times that those are European beautyberries. We know they bought the wrong ones when they planted them. And people come and tell me all the time, you know, those are the wrong ones. And I go, yes. But they are very pretty, and the birds eat the purple berries from either the European or the American. And then black chokeberry is aronia. That is a very nice small shrub that gets great berries that are good for the birds and good for people. So birdscaping means to go native, to add bushes and shrubs for wildlife, such as your native birds. Make a corner shrub garden. You don't have to have your whole yard filled with natives for birdscaping. You can look at what trees you already have in your yard by doing an inventory. Find a garden center that does local species, and you guys are good at that. You already have, I think you're going to address that at the end, if there's native plant sales and native gardens that garden centers that we use on a regular basis. Also, MD Flora, which is the Maryland Native Plant Society, they list a lot of good places where you can get native plants. Supplements, you can have feeders like jelly for your Orioles. And the cool thing about birdscaping, you can add color to your fall and winter landscape with something like this winterberry. And the blue jay adds color to your fall and winter landscape as well. So things that you can have in a bird-friendly yard. You can have a grassy area, but you can provide snags for nesting locations for woodpeckers and other cavity nesting species. You can have native vines like trumpet creeper, or I have a lot of the native honeysuckle, coral honeysuckle, and many produce berries. And also I found out that coral honeysuckle has its own moth, the clear-winged snowberry, which is a really cool moth that looks like a little hummingbird, the really long tongue. And its caterpillars live on the coral honeysuckle. Yay. Shrubs provide cover, nectar, and berries and nesting locations and attract insects. Wildflowers attract pollinators and insects and produce nectar and seeds. This time of the year, you want to leave the leaves and leave the seed heads because your goldfinches, which are our latest nesting birds, love to come and get all the seeds from your sunflowers, from your black-eyed Susans, from your coneflowers. So you can have this beautiful garden filled with the goldfinches all feasting. Grasses provide cover and seeds, attract insects, and provide nesting materials. Canopy trees provide nest locations. Nectar berries, mast means acorns and seeds that attract insects. Ground covers, many produce nectar and berries. I don't really know what they're drawing, that they drew black plants. I guess that's ground cover. And water attracts birds of all kinds. A moving water feature such as a waterfall is very enticing to birds. And in the winter, you can have a heated bird bath or a heated pet dog bowl, and that will work as a heated bird bath that will actually help your wildlife survive during the winter. Remember, if you're out working in your garden, if you've got honeysuckle, get rid of it. Invasive bush honeysuckle is a serious threat. Barberry, invasive tick nursery. Nandinas, just get rid of them. Plan your garden and remove the invasives. I want to say that I got bit by a tick in February of 2020. It was 70 degrees out. I was working in the garden. I do not have any barberries in my garden, but I do have deer. And the deer brought the tick. It was a Lone Star tick, which is a brown tick with a white spot. And I'm now allergic to any meat from mammals because I have alpha-gal. So ticks are a serious, bad creature. And one of the best ways to deal with them is to not have things like the barberries in your yard and to try to keep the deer out. So if you have a giant hosta garden, you're going to get some ticks because deer love the hostas. So plant a lot of native stuff that the deer aren't really interested in. So one more to review. Winter can be a hard time for wildlife. Let's make a garden plan. We talked about the 6 top winter birds, the top berry producers, some more suggestions for berries for birds. I talked about how you can do birdscaping and plants to avoid. And these are some certification plaques you could get. National Wildlife Federation and Audubon Plants for Birds. There's many other certifications you can get for your yard. Baywise is a good one here in Southern Maryland you can get from the Extension Office. So certifying your wildlife habitat, 3 branches of a good bird garden. You have shelter, food, and water. You can look at this. If you're a teacher, you get a certified schoolyard habitat from National Wildlife Federation. Here at my house, I'm certified wildlife habitat, and also we became a park certified wildlife habitat at the North Beach Nature Center. And how can you get certified? Provide food, supply water, create cover, provide places to raise young, garden sustainably, and then get certified. So even a few native plants on a city balcony can help. And if you even have a bird bath and a hummingbird feeder, believe it or not, you can be considered that you're having a monarch way station or a bird-friendly yard. I love this picture because this is a small wild friendly garden. It does have the grass. It does a grassy area. It has a lot of places like decks and places where you can sit and observe and watch wildlife. It has a little water feature. I mean, if I didn't live on the wetland, I probably would put in a garden like this in my backyard because it's just so zen-like. Okay, next. So I hope that you'll remember when you're having an inventory of your yard that the beautiful sumacs, the viburnums, the winterberries, the crab apples, and many of the other plants provide the insects for the birds, provide the food for the birds so they can make it through the winter, so that you will have plenty of birds to watch. And if you have a really great bird garden, you don't even have to have that much in the way of bird feeders. I mean, you can put up suet feeders for the woodpeckers, but you might not even need to put seeds out because you have so much good stuff going on in your yard that you already created for the birds by planting it. Okay, thank you. I hope that that wasn't too overwhelming. And look at this happy cedar waxwing.
Lisa, I got a couple of questions, not from the chat, but of things. Yeah, there are a couple more
Thank you to
things in
Amy.
there. Uh, Next door neighbor bought 2 service berries that they're
Yes.
going to put in, which I love, which is great. But we are also surrounded by lots of junipers, and we're afraid we're going to get juniper apple rust or whatever that's called. Will the birds still eat the berries?
Birds still eat the berries, even when they're fuzzy from that cedar apple rust. They still will eat them. But
Okay.
I love serviceberry amelanchier. I think it's a beautiful little shrub, native shrub. And it is true though, if you have apple trees or cedar or junipers, then your serviceberries can be affected, even within a mile of each other.
Okay, that was one
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Another one there, Amy mentioned that some of those shrubs you were talking about, particularly the winter berries, require a male and female to make berries. So you can't necessarily just have one shrub. My
That
question
is
is
true. A
how
lot
do you
of times
tell
if you
which is which?
I know. You need to always buy 3 because there's a very better chance that you're going to get a male. But also lots of times you can when it comes to winter berries, they actually have a cultivar. I think it's called the Little Joe. Someone could correct me if that's wrong. And they know that they mark them as soon as they put their flowers out, they mark them at the garden centers. And then you know that is, so you got yourself a male. Then, so as long as you plant one
Okay.
male, then they will pollinate all your other winter berries. That's the best way to do it. Okay.
Another question was, how do birds deal with cultivars? Are cultivars okay, or whatever? Like I have a cultivar of a 9 bark. I don't know that they put out berries.
Pine bark's a nice bush though. And it's a good,
Yeah, it
it's a
is.
good wildlife value. It's got a good wildlife value. The 9-bark, that's what you're saying, and the 9-bark bush. Some of the cultivars are all right when it comes to berries. The berries don't lose their flavor. What happens if you have cultivars where the flowers that are purple or red, or the leaves are purple or red of the cultivars of a lot of herbaceous plants, they do not attract the pollinators as much as the native versions. But there are things called nativars, which is a weird thing. But for example, my favorite goldenrod, wrinkle leaf goldenrod, wreath goldenrod, it was found growing in North Carolina in the wild. They took it and started growing it at garden centers, and now they sell cuttings of it. Is that a cultivar? Not really, because it's from the wild, but because they're growing in cultivation, people say that it's a nativar, and that it provides fantastic, the bees love it. So that's a good question. Berries, I don't think it affects it that much, but the colors of the leaves affect what kind of insects you're getting. It really ruins the palatability to like caterpillars and things. Did I answer that pretty
Great.
well?
Yeah, I think so. Did anybody see? I'm trying to put the Audubon. I found
Oh,
the link for
someone said to check with Mount Cuba Research Station that they have a
Yes.
list of cultivars, their goodness for wildlife. So that's good. And someone asked why are the privet berries bad for birds? Privet is a really, really, really invasive shrub that grows up to 20 to 30 feet high, and it takes over habitat where you could have a wider variety of wildlife diversity. So it was grown as hedges, and so there's tons of it around in cosmopolitan areas. And if you just cut it down, it just sprouts more, and you get more and more of it. And birds do eat the berries. You know what birds love it? Starlings, which are not from America, and they love to eat the berries. And that next thing you know, there's more privets. So is it bad for the birds? Well, in the long run, because it ruins their habitat. Same way as cotton candy is yummy, but you wouldn't want to eat cotton candy all the time. Yeah, more of a problem with birds spreading seeds after eating berries. And it's invasive.
Speak for yourself. I'd eat cotton candy all the time. It
Especially
wouldn't be good for me, but I'd eat it all the time.
I just was at a training with a bunch of certified Chesapeake Bay landscape professionals. And a lot of them are more landscape designers. And they were all asking why mimosa wasn't a good plant to have. And it is a good nectar plant, just like butterfly bushes are good nectar plants, but they're not native. So you have to think about that.
Lisa, someone asked a question about yellow flower that you mentioned, and you may have said the wrong flower. It's in the chat. MJ Gibson.
And what was it?
It was hang on, let me go back to the question. You had said yellow flowers, invasive flowers. You had said marshmallow.
I thought about that because my husband does invasive removals. That's part of his job as a park ranger. And I heard him over in the corner saying, "You mean lesser celandine?" I hear him saying that. So I'm sorry I didn't correct that. I need to correct it on my slide. Lots of people call that marsh marigold. It's not. That's what I really want to say is when you see it growing like that in large swaths, it is not the native marsh marigold. What you're seeing is the lesser celandine, which is exotic and extremely invasive. She's right. And he corrected me over from the couch.
Lisa, were you comfortable with answering all your questions and we can move on?
That I did. Didn't you think I answered all of them?
Yeah, I think so. I think you did a great job. Thank you so much.
What was it interesting? Did you like it?
Yes, very much so.
Oh, it was great.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
And like I said, we have it recorded, and Bill will do his little magic behind the scenes, and then we'll post it and let you know when the link is ready for you to review it.
And when we have people like Lynn Wheeler in the audience, it better be good.
So let's see. Let me see if I can find my share screen.
While you're working on that, one of the things I did put on the chat room is that Wild Ones does have a native plant yard certification program.
Okay.
Someone I think her name was Amy, was asking, and I think she lives in Calvert County, if Audubon has one, but we really don't have a active native plant yard certification today.
But Peggy Cook, who lives in Calvert County, she is part of our
Okay,
Prince George's Wildlife Habitat Society's.
excellent, excellent.
And we do the Baywise as well in Calvert County. Do you guys do
Right,
that?
Baywise is definitely an option. Yep. But, and like I said, a lot of people don't know, we do have one with wild ones also.
Oh, good.
Right. Well, apparently the national Audubon, you can get one that just, it doesn't say certified, it
just
just
A
says
sign.
Audubon bird friendly yard.
I've got one of their signs. But Lisa, I was glad to hear that you guys are looking at having a sign for us more for Southern Maryland.
Yeah, and it's going to have
versus
a
because
bluebird
that was something
and
I complained about back when that program was first launched. I wanted us to have our own sign.
well, the
for
sad
down
news
here.
is that National, for some reason, took away Patterson Park's native plant habitat program, but they're
Yeah.
still really keeping it at a national level, and so they're still supporting it. I don't know what happened, why they changed the whole plan for Patterson Park.
I think
But-
when it just went from state to mid-Atlantic,
That's
stuff
it.
like
That's
that
what
fell
happened.
apart.
It's a shame because Aaron Reed Miller is an amazing, good speaker.
She
about
she
native
was good.
plants.
She's who trained me in the whole program.
So
Yeah,
I
she
like
was
this
good.
picture of wild ones. That's nice.
Okay, so thank you, Lisa. You did a great job, and thank you for the folks who came back on after a little technical glitch. Don't know what happened there, but those things happen when you're virtual. So yeah, this is a picture of our group who met at Butterfly Alley on Sunday. We had a nice crowd there. Carrie Cryer gave us a tour of the garden, and then we did some seed collecting. So we're just going to quickly go through the chapter updates and some national updates. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm not even sure what time it is, but we typically allow an hour,
7:58.
but we typically go over a few minutes.
7:56. So we have a couple minutes.
Okay. So first we'll talk about things we're doing out in the community, our outreach. We attended the National Night. These are things since our last meeting in July. So in August, we attended the National Night Out at University Park. We were there alongside Chesapeake natives and Nurture natives, and we had a great time there, a nice crowd up near the University of Maryland. And we did the North Beach Bug Fest on August 10th. Wild Ones was there along with Xerces Society. And that was a fun day. Lots of kids came, lots of families. And then we do field trips and garden tours. This couple weekends ago, Karen Molinis of the Maryland Native Plant Society did a field trip at a park in Calvert County on Grays Road. That was attended by a few of us. She did a little bit of dichotomous keying out in the field and also a little bit of binaturalist training. And again, we went to Butterfly Alley. Just a few pictures of our tour there. A lot of focus was on the shrubs and the trees there, in addition to her lovely perennial gardens. And we're doing some work in the native gardens out in the community. We have helped to install 2 native gardens at the St. Mary's Animal Adoption and Rescue Center. Theirs
looks nice.
gardens were pretty barren, overrun with weeds, and they had a few plants in the ground. But we helped them weed it, remulch it, and then put lots of plants in that were mostly obtained from Butterfly Alley. And that's a joint project of Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay, the Friends of St. Clements Bay, and the St. Mary's Garden Club. And then 2 projects in Master Gardeners, St. Mary's Master Gardeners, excuse me. And then 2 gardens in Anne Arundel County. Did you want to say a couple words, Sue?
Sure. Captain Avery Museum is in Shady Side, and I've been working with them since spring. They had lots of native plants in their gardens that were installed over a decade ago, and that person who had installed it has left the area, and so they needed a lot of help. So we connected them with Bonaterra and Butterfly Alley to get some plants bought and donated. And the most recent work has been the new signs. You can see the pink turtle head sign and one of the grass signs there. Um, it was a struggle because the grounds were rock hard because of lack of rain. But we got a lot in. There's still a lot more to do. I had to take a sledgehammer over there to dig holes. And then Tracy's Landing Elementary School. God bless my neighbor who would haul 5-gallon buckets of water over there all summer. And a lot of those plants came either from local people here in southern Anne Arundel County or Butterfly Alley. And they've got a great pollinator garden going right outside the kindergarten classroom. So the kindergarten teacher is very appreciative of that.
Thanks, Sue.
Yep.
And next we have a new parkette going in Leonardtown, and Amy Henderson is one of our chapter members. She's the land steward for that project. So Amy, you're on, and I see you're on. So if you'd like to give us an update on this project that you're about to start.
Sure. You can, the top left picture just gives a view of the little park, and it's next from the street and the sidewalk, and it's next to an alley that has a mural. And so we're going to put in a pollinator garden. Carrie Creer from Butterfly Alley hired a landscape designer and donated his services to come up with a plan. And so we've got butterfly milkweed, asters, green and gold, Carrick, Samsonia, penstemon, and some others things going in. We're going to leave a few of the shrubs that are already there, but it's right now it's got a lot of Nandina, Liriope, and I'm hoping we can bring butterflies to Leonardtown. So we're going to begin our installation on Tuesday, October 8th. And that we're getting some middle school students from Bay Montessori School are going to come and help us put those plants in. I hope that it's not rock hard. I'm hoping this rain will will loosen up the soil a little bit for us. Other volunteers are welcome. If you're local to St. Mary's County and Leonardtown and want to come and help, we'd love to have you. So those are just the pictures of what it looks like now. We're hoping the landscape company that takes care of the town flower beds is supposed to come and take out the Nandina and the Liriope at the base of the trees and make room for us to put in our native plants. And then I've got on the slide, Marlene put that on there, that eventually I'd love to see Leonardtown become a pollinator pathway. That'll be the next, like another level up. We have our native plant garden at the Leonardtown Library. And this garden will be, it's about a mile, I guess, from the library. And it just would be awesome to see people's homes and the businesses along that corridor from the library over to town for everybody to put something in their landscape that would help the pollinators. So we'll see, but this will be a stepping stone to that.
Amy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are these big cool flowers that look like daisies or black-eyed Susans, are they sculptures?
Yes. Yeah, it's like little metal things. I think there are little hammers that they're like a little music drum thing or a little
okay.
xylophone. Yeah.
And then behind it, is that a truck that will move away? I mean, or is the truck going to stay there?
That's just parked there for now. I think it's a trailer, but there are businesses all around there. So,
so people could walk up and see the garden when that trailer's not there.
Oh yeah. And from the grass side, people will be able to see it.
Okay.
And the alleyway, I think that the goal of this whole little area where that trailer is parked and beyond, it's this sort of paved alleyway place that they can bring in a band and people can come and listen to music, or there are some picnic tables so you could come and eat your lunch or something. But this is in the main business part of Leonardtown, where they have shops and restaurants and other things. So I told Marlene, and I've told several people, that I was walking around town last summer and we have murals that have pictures of butterflies in them, and we had banners that had butterflies on the banners. And then I looked around in the gardens and thought, there are no flowers in these flower beds that butterflies could help, that would help the butterflies. There's nothing for them to eat. So we don't have very many real butterflies. So the goal is to bring some actual living butterflies to the space.
That's way cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I know you've done a great job at the library helping Liz and the groups that are working there. So this will be exciting to see another area. Okay, any questions for Amy? Let's
Amy,
see.
check the chat. I left you a message about Leonardtown. You've got a new person who's coming to work for the town, Leonardtown, who will be helpful as far as native
cool.
plants and pollinators.
Oh, I love that. Her name sounds really familiar. She might be a childhood friend of my older daughter.
Oh, maybe so.
Is she around 35?
I would say so.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that name.
Yeah.
So she's coming to Leonardtown.
Yeah, she actually lives in St. Mary's County, but she's
Yep.
been working for the town of La Plata for the last probably 5-6 years. And she would even dress up as Polly the pollinator in
Oh,
a
I
bee
love it.
costume.
Ah,
And she and I did for her like an Excel spreadsheet of like 400 native plants and all the info about them that's posted on the Town of La Plata website, where we
wow.
try to get people to, use that list, as well as a list of banned invasive plants. So,
Yeah,
but she'll be a good friend to you there.
great. Do you know what her position will be in Leonardtown?
I don't know. I just assuming it'll be something similar as in the planning department.
Okay.
That's what she comes from.
I bet the town administrator will know about her. I'll ask her.
And she took a master gardener course too. So she's, she's
great.
good. She'll be a good one for you.
Thanks for the heads up.
Mhm.
All right, let's see what we've got next. We've got education. So we've been trying to get out there in the public to do some presentations. I worked with Nurture Natives in August to do a Biodiversity and Native Gardening 101 presentation in Charlotte Hall. I was at the College of Southern Maryland in La Plata giving their staff some education on seed saving. We did seed saving at the Lexington Park Library. And most recently, we did a virtual presentation in cooperation with Wild Ones Greater Baltimore on collecting and saving native seeds. And that recording is ready and up on our YouTube channel. So we'll be sharing that through social media, and I'll also email that and the resources out to everyone. And we're doing plant propagation at the USGS Bee Lab. I think we've grown about 2,000 plants. Yeah. Plus, Bill says, our first truck full came home with us last week, and they will be going with us to our native plant swap, which is this Saturday at Chesapeake. And we'll talk more about that when we get to our featured events that are coming up. But this has been a lot of fun this summer. We've gained a few members from being up there, folks who share our passion, and it's been a lot of fun. We're already collecting seeds at the Bee Lab for sowing next winter.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So about the propagating, I would really love to see us, someone find a place closer to, down in Southern Maryland maybe it would be Bonatera in Indian Head. But, you know, that lab that you just mentioned where you did the propagating.
Let me see if I can go back up. Oh, That's at
like
the
an hour and a
USGS lab
half.
in Laurel.
Yeah, so that's like an hour and a
Yeah.
half drive from my house at least.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's would be with good traffic. So if we could find a place that was somewhere down in St. Mary's or Charles, somewhere
Yeah.
south.
Well,
And I don't know what that takes.
Well, it's interesting you say that. We were the lucky recipients of a hoop house from Elms when the Elms Environmental Center closed this summer.
Mhm.
They had taken down one of their hoop houses and said, if anybody wants it, you're more than welcome to it.
So did you
So
look at it?
Bill and I brought it home. It's been in the garage since we got home. The
Wow.
question is, does anybody have a piece of property where we could set up a hoop house and we could do something very similar to what we've done at the B Lab? So,
How big is it?
what'd you say, Bill?
We could put it on our last piece of grass.
Oh, Bill said we could put it on our last piece of grass, but no, it's not happening here.
How big is it? Like 20 by
um,
40 or something?
What do you think that
12 by 12.
Bill's thinking maybe 12 by 12? We need to put it up and see what kind of shape it's in
Mhm.
because we brought home all the poles and
We have all
the tarp or cover, whatever was already packaged in a bag. So we have to pull that out and, check it out. But we have everything. We just need to like try to set it up, see what size it is, and then see if we can find a spot for it.
My husband's not home right now, but I can talk to him because we have a good bit of property. And
Oh,
there is a chance that we could even put it on our property.
oh, nice.
So we can talk more details, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
But I couldn't pass it up.
exciting. Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't pass it up.
What area is it up in?
Where are you located, Amy? I know you're in St. Mary's,
Leonardtown.
but Leonardtown. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that would be a lot closer for a lot of us
Mhm.
because we have been going up there almost weekly, and it's about an hour and a half, depending on traffic, hour 15. Yeah, depending on traffic. But we have the couple members that we gained are up in the Laurel or Annapolis area or Anne Arundel area. I don't know what part of Anne Arundel, but it's not to say we couldn't propagate plants in two locations.
Mhm. And I don't really know anything about propagating, so that would be something I'd love to learn.
Yeah, we could all
But
go
yeah,
through it
but this
together this winter.
pollinator, yeah, the pollinator pathway project is going to require a lot of plants. And
Yep.
getting them into the hands of the people in Leonardtown it'd be nice to have something close by.
Okay, moving on. This is just a reminder that all of our information is on our website. We have a Google calendar that all members can access on the website to see our upcoming events. The ones on the Google calendar are the ones that are more local to us. And then on the left-hand side of that page is not only our local things, but also things that are on the national website. So you'll see other things on there, like the Matrix Landscape Design with Benjamin Vogt in October. It's just a reminder where you can get all of our chapter information, what we're doing. And then to highlight a few of our upcoming events, I don't know, Sue's still on. I saw Jan on earlier. I don't know if Jan rejoined. Sue, do you want to say any words about the plant swap on Saturday?
Just that we have a lot of plants to give away or share or trade or whatever.
Yep.
So definitely plan on being there. Plan on being there at 10 or shortly thereafter. These are great fun. It's nice to actually put faces to names. And I know I have quite a few plants. Marlene has and Bill have like a ton of plants, and it's always great fun.
And Lynn, do you want to?
Actually, can I just add in on the plant shares? So
Sure.
these happen twice a year. So if you are not available to make this one, don't worry. We'll have more because everybody always has lots of plans to share. If you do not have plans to share, please come anyway, because everybody always has lots of plans to share. And you will undoubtedly walk away with some great plans from people, because as most of us have learned, some native plants can be pushy. And so a great way to deal with the ones that are a little more prolific is to pull them out and share them with especially new people, or maybe you have something unusual that you want to share. So please come out. And we're there until noon. Don't come late. We're there until noon, and then we're done.
Lynn, did you want to say anything about the location?
Well, I did see that earlier Jan was on our talk, but I don't see her now, who we have dealt with for this. We will also have one of our Wild Ones members, Pam Brumley. She works at the National Colonial Farms there at Piscataway Park. And so she'll pop over to the plant share and have information about the park and all the neat ecological and native plant projects that she's been doing there. And the whole My Own Reserve is just a wonderful group of people that really care about the environment and habitat. And it's just a wonderful location.
And also we do move the plant chairs around. So we've had them, I think, have we had them in every county after this one? I think we've had them in all 5 of our counties. We
Yeah,
do
I
try
think
to,
so.
we do try to go up and down, so it's not such a far ride every single time for some of us. So
Yeah, so please come on out if you can and invite whoever, because they're open to anybody. It's not just our members. And then we want to invite everybody to our virtual talk on October 1st. Jeremy Tidwith Bonatera is going to talk to us about his nursery and his plant propagation. We have a native tree giveaway October 5th at the College of Southern Maryland La Plata campus. Wild Ones Chesapeake Bay and Nurture Natives joined forces to go rescue over 80 native trees and shrubs at the Elms Environmental Center that was closing down in St. Mary's County. So they were generous. These are trees and shrubs that were grown from seed by 7th graders. And at this point, they're several years old because different classes over the years have nurtured them. But we'll have native trees and shrubs to give away, and I may sneak in some perennials that may come from the plant share if we don't give away everything this Saturday.
Marlene, we have Kathy Daniel asking how to register for the Bonatera talk.
I'm looking for the link.
Okay.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Thanks.
Thank you. And then on Saturday the 12th, we'll be down at the Leonardtown Library doing an All the Dirt on Native Seed Collecting workshop there. We'll give a short presentation inside, and then we'll actually go out into the garden to collect native seeds. So that should be a lot of fun. And we have our 2nd annual native plant swap at the Leonardtown Library. That's organized by the library and the Friends of St. Clements Bay, and I believe the St. Mary's Master Gardeners and the St. Mary's Garden Club typically participate. But we will actually have a Bonatera seedling giveaway at that event. We're coordinating that now. Oh, and Amy, would you like to speak on the behalf of the dedication that's going on that day?
Yeah, so for people who don't know about it, at the Leonardtown Library, the gardens were the person that's been coordinating everything for the garden, Liz Kurtz, along with an artist, Perrin Collery, put in for a grant. It was a very nice sized grant from the State Arts Council, and it got like a 99% rating from the people that were rating the applications. We were really proud of that and happy. So Perrin created 4 mosaic tile panels. They're big. They're like 4 or 5 feet tall and about 5 or 6 feet wide. They'll be on posts. And there will be one for each season of the year, representing aspects of the seasons. And those are being installed the second week of October. And the ribbon cutting, if you will be Saturday, October 19th. So it'll be in conjunction with that native plant swap. Should be a really fun event, and we're all looking forward to seeing those in place in the garden. And it's going to be a substantial addition to that garden. It's really putting Leonardtown on the map. But they're
Very
really
impressive.
Yeah, I've been to her studio, so I saw some of the work in progress, and it is impressive. She does gorgeous work, and you can see her work on she did a mural on the outside of the Prince Frederick Library, and she's done several other similar projects, and her work is really, really gorgeous. So I think it'll be a huge, wonderful addition.
She's going to be doing, she got a grant to put one on the brand new Twin Beaches Library in North Beach. That's going to focus on creatures of the Chesapeake Bay, featuring oysters. And it's going to go all the way around, wrapping around the entire library. So if you've seen the North Beach Library, it's pretty big. But I'm looking forward to seeing this one in Leonardtown, because I liked her work she did with the butterflies at the Prince Frederick one. So it sounds like it's going to be beautiful. She's very talented.
And if you're in Leonardtown, also check out, she did a bench in the town of Leonardtown. That's right outside the Arts Council building, I think, isn't it, Amy?
Yes, and then there's also an alleyway that's on Fenwick Street near the used bookstore. And the artists at the North End Gallery got together and made this fabulous mural. And she has some of her tiles incorporated into that. Another clay artist also made some things, but anyway, it's just really beautiful. So fun to see the details that they incorporate into things.
Thanks, Amy. And let's see what we have after this. So a few national updates, just real quick. There was questions in the earlier chat about certifying your habitat. Wild Ones National does have a certification that you can do online to certify your garden for a fee of $50. And this is the habitat sign that they have. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I do believe we've had 1 or 2 in our chapter already. I think Pam Brumley did her garden, and I can't remember who the other one was. But you can click the QR code on this slide and it'll take you to the page on the website. And then it was announced in the latest Wild Ones email that came this week, I think, that the photo contest submissions, the period for submission is over, and now the People's Choice Award is open for voting. So there are lots and lots of pictures online if you want to go in and vote for your favorite one. Sue, do you have anything to add? Because I haven't had a chance to really check out the website for voting. If you've looked at it and want to add
I'm
anything.
still looking for the link to the virtual Bonatera thing. The pictures are awesome. Go to the site and look at them. They are just amazing.
And did you say they're categorized? They're in categories?
Yeah,
Is that what
you like the one I did submit had to include like a plant and an animal. So most of them are insects on flowers, the vast majority. But then there were other, group shots. But the first category had the most, and they're absolutely amazing pictures.
And Wild Ones will feature these in their journals and on their website and things like that, the winning photos. So it's quite an honor. And I know Sue submitted a photo. I don't know if any of our other chapter members did, but it's a lot of fun. And
I cannot find that. I cannot find the link.
I'll look for it before we finish. I don't know why my my slides seem to be delayed as I click on them. And then I just also wanted to mention to anybody who's working in education, like perhaps with schools, community groups, I think, are also eligible, nonprofits, nature centers. If Lisa's on, this might be of interest to Lisa. I don't know, Amy, if you work with any school groups, but the Lori Seeds for Education grants are open. And we did have 2 winners in the chapter last year. Nurture Natives won, and they're putting in a garden at the East John Youth Center in Lusby. And Pam Brumbley, one of our members, also won a grant, and she used it at, help me out, Lynn, which
National Colonial Farms.
National Colonial Farms, and she will have information on that at our plant swap, I believe, on Saturday. So I just wanted to put the word out there for folks who may have access to schools, nonprofits, youth organizations, community youth centers who would qualify for this. It does not fund vegetable gardens, but applications are open through November 15th. Any questions on that one? Again, the QR code would take you to the page on the website for applications. And then there is another Wild Ones national webinar. They've been doing a good job recently of having well-known national speakers. October 24th is Matrix Landscape Design with Benjamin Vogt. So if you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the page on the Wild Ones site. But that should be a good webinar. And I believe the recording of the one they did recently, what did they do? A week or so ago. I can't think of it. If I think of it, I'll send it out. But they do record them. I think they do them through
Meadows.
YouTube Live.
I think we just did one on Meadows.
Yeah, and they do them through YouTube Live, so afterwards they're like immediately available. So those are always good to check out. And I do believe registration is required, but they're free. And then the latest Wild Ones journal is out for members. You can get to that by scanning the code here or just going to the website. When you go under your membership, you should have direct access to it. And they also do maintain a reading list of interesting books, and they do, I believe, have some book reviews. So that might be something else of interest to our members. And just again, a reminder that we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you can always email us to get in touch with us, but please follow us on social media. Keep an eye. We're trying to get more information out on our website. We have a weblog, a blog. Anybody who would like to write articles and submit pictures, we're always happy to take your submissions.
Can you go back to the one page, back to the one with the journal QR codes?
Yep. There you go.
Just went to take a picture and there it was gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's 8:30, so you're probably like, what time to be done?
Oh, is it 8:30? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. We good? And I can send these slides out to folks if you're interested. Let's see, that's our social media, questions and answers. Thank you. Oh, and then this was more for, I know we had quite a few non-members who were on, so I did want to invite non-members if you were interested in joining, whether it be our chapter or another chapter. All of the Wild Ones chapters are nonprofits that depend on membership dues and donations to do all the things we're doing out in the community. Our work depends on you. And that is all I had, unless anybody else has any questions. Hopefully within the next week, I'll come out with the email with all the October events. And I think what I'm going to try is to come up with a sign-up genius looking for volunteers to help with our events. Because a lot of the ones coming up, whether it be the Bonaterra Plant Share in Leonardtown or the Seed Share at Leonardtown, some of these we could use some volunteer help with. So I think I'll do a sign-up genius to try to recruit some volunteers for things that are coming up. I'm trying to figure out the best way to get it out there to the whole chapter so people know and can volunteer with us if they're interested.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night, all.
All
Good
right.
night, all.